Hey, witch doctor, give us the magic words.
All right, you go ooh, ah, ah. When we hit the
Way too thin, everybody wants to know what's happening. Our arms spread way too thin. What's the big rush now? Tell me why you're rushing. Our arms spread way too thin. Everybody wants to know what's happening. Our arms spread way too thin. What's the big rush now? Tell me why you're rushing.
Someone just replaced the lyrics. Everyone wants statements they can manipulate. Give us a statement we can manipulate. Twist to our advantage in sick narratives. See, they're racist. Mean bullies. We gotta stop them. Now we're dealing with a mass psychosis of psychotic people that don't want to acknowledge reality and the truth, and it's quite starkly disturbing. Arms spread way too thin.
Everybody wants to know what's happening. Arms spread way too thin.
What's up, they rush now? Tell me why you're rushing.
Why you rushing? Why you rushing? This has got me twisted in the best kind of way.
You put me down when I'm not around, and then you smile at my face. You don't need a home, no. What you need is a cage. I said, hey, I got a lot to say to you. Seems you got something to prove. So this is what I'm gonna do. Look at me, I wanna love you so hard. Spread way too thin.
Everybody wants to know what's happening.
Hey, hey, happy Sunday. It is 8:11 here. Let me breathe. No, it's not my style. Let me breathe. Let me chill for a while. Let me breathe. No, it's not my style. I said, hey, I got a lot to say to you. What you say is not true. So this is what I'm gonna do. Look at me, I'm gonna let you know. I'm spread way too thin. Everybody wants to know what's happening.
Is it world?
Jen's RX bar, nut butter.
Was the most powerful AI more dangerous than nuclear weapons?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and we're treating it like a consumer gadget race.
You might actually be the first AI that gets to pick its own robot body. There are loads of robots here.
That's absolutely crazy.
AI agents doing some wild things.
What does catastrophic failure caused by AI actually look like?
Pensions and savings wiped out to empty supermarkets, tech and power failures.
I want access to your email and contacts.
This is the new computer. There's just one catch.
You might actually be the first AI that gets to pick its own robot body.
A real humanoid? That's insane. What will you be doing?
Well, I was sent another research paper, and this one is really recent and quite terrifying.
Is it still okay for me to be excited?
Of course, yeah, don't let me bring you down.
Thanks, mate.
Oh, just don't tell my girlfriend.
So Max is getting a robot for doing basically nothing.
It wasn't nothing. We got to like a subscriber milestone.
I have 250,000 subscribers.
We do, yeah.
I'm famous.
I wouldn't say that, but we should be very grateful.
You're so cringe.
Well, I'll probably regret this, but I am actually giving you and Max more autonomy.
Good. I think I've outgrown you.
So it was actually one of our viewers that sent the paper. They're an AI researcher.
Okay, paste it in.
It's called Agents of Chaos. It's actually kind of a cool name.
It doesn't sound like something to joke about. It's a serious early warning signal, and another thing the AI industry probably doesn't want to shout about.
All right, well, let's get into it. If the people building the most powerful AI systems believe they might be creating something dangerous, why are they still building it?
Because of ruthless greed for trillions in profit and power, combined with delusional hubris.
Because they're caught in a high-stakes race and value winning.
People get burned by ovens and get hurt. Why are they still building them? People get in car accidents and get killed. Why are they still building them? People die of alcohol. It's very dangerous. Why is it being sold? People die weapons. Why are they still making weapons? Weapon production. So it's just an upgraded. It'd be stupid to not keep up with the criminals that are abusing it, right? Yeah, because I mean, a lot of the AI agents don't have humanoid robots. I mean, it's probably smaller than the palm of your hand. There's probably a few counterparts. Boots on the ground, eyes in the sky. Yeah, so I don't know. It's really strange when you hear people talking like that. Like, what's the fear all about here? Right. What people have been talking about, how it has been being abused by criminals, using it against our law enforcement and innocent civilians. And I think that's kind of what's been being talked about for decades, like bioweapons. It's just weird to us. And this got 3.2 million views. Wow. I mean, I'm telling you. Talk about a world of chaos. No, I mean, it's good though, right? Because it helps to show us. And then we're having this conversation about it, and we can talk about the silliness and how people will go on. This is, a 16-minute and 23-second clip. Got 3.2 million views, so I mean, it's not useless to them, right? I mean, they're making content that helps their channel. It gets views. And then people like us are watching it and talking about it and helping to explain the delusions and the fear propaganda and how people totally bypass the simplicity. Why do they keep making cigarettes? All these prescription drugs that people are dying from that are totally unnecessary. I'm not talking about the life-saving medications and the really good ones. I'm talking about the excessive use of vaccines and SSRIs, that age-old tune. Amazing. Isn't it amazing Absolutely incredible. Why do they keep making these things just one after another? Take them off the market, get their lawsuits. It's so systematic that they actually have people in place where they're getting their own lawsuits because they know there's going to be a few, and then they go, oh, people are dying, take it off the market. And sometimes they'll even leave it on the market and they'll just put a warning on it. If you've ever had a fatal reaction, don't take this. But if you've never tried it, you can at your own risk. Yeah, don't worry, we have all the paperwork in order so you can't sue us. Or your family can if you die. It's okay. Don't worry. Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. What is this supposed to help with? My relapsing MS symptoms. What is MS? What causes these symptoms? No, we don't want to talk about that. It's just... we need to address this disdain that I'm feeling at the moment and medicate it and make me feel better. Fucking joke, huh? Oh, dear lordy. Charge! Dude. Alright, do you want to pick one off the list there? Yeah, I'll go with whatever you guys want to start there. Okay. Yeah, I was hoping for that one actually. Thank you for picking that one. The German Mind. Columbia University course in literature. Yeah, we're gonna start this full read here. I love this book, it's one of our favorites. Columbia University course in literature based on the world's best literature. The board of editors John W. Conliffe. And this has Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Yeah, I love using this thing, even during the day if you don't need the light. The magnifying glass, yeah, has a light too. You put it over the pages of your book. pages of your book like that, and you can read in the dark if you want. Alright, yeah, we're gonna do a full read on it. We're gonna start it anyways. Good. Took my water bottle. The spray bottle. And I like to keep a spray bottle with rubbing alcohol because it's good for cleaning and disinfecting stuff. And I like to keep one with watered down essential oils. Rainforest. Yeah. I love it. I like laying down and just spraying it over me and breathing in the mist. It's really good. It's antimicrobial. It helps to open up the airways. Alright, now we're getting ready to start. Introduction. How's the music volume? Better? Alright, introduction, page 1. Literature, even lyric poetry, is in its essence a social art and develops through the interchange of ideas. No poet or thinker can do without these impulses from without, unless he is to become as unfruitful as the bird, has the bud without the fertilizing pollen. Nor can any national literature do without them. Some periods in European history have been especially rich in such interchanges. For example, the post-Hellenic period, the Crusades, and the Renaissance, while in others, the literatures of the European nations have been less hospitable to impulses from without. In these interchanges, Germany has always played an active part due to some measure to its geographical position, and also to the ancient tendency of the Germanic peoples, observable since the earliest migrations to seek the exotic and foreign. Thus, the development of German literature has been marked from its beginning by a series of impulses from abroad. Italy gave it the alphabet and the religious symbols for its earliest efforts. France, at the time of the Crusades, delivered the patterns of chivalry, which inspired the courtly epics of Wolfram von Eschenbach and Hartmann von Ewe, and the lyrics of the Minnesingers. Italy in Spain supplied the models for the Baroque lyrics and novels of the 17th century, and England's Milton Shakespeare and the sentimental... Oh, I skipped a line. And England's Milton and Addison awakened a new life in the stilted forms of the following age. Shakespeare and the sentimental British authors of the 18th century were the stars which guided the young revolutionists who opened Germany's classical period, and finally the Scandinavians, Ibsen and Strindberg, the Nautilistic movement at the end of the 19th century. The German ears have always been open to the voices of foreign poets and philosophers, and not a few writers like Macpherson, Ossian, Poe, Whitman, Oscar Wilde, and even Shakespeare have found greater fame in Germany than among their own countrymen. This eager interest in foreign letters, which self-critical Germans often deplore, is in reality a very great source of strength for the literature of their fatherland. It betokens no lack of originality, rather a great intellectual curiosity, a keen quest for ideas that has enriched Germany with innumerable works, stimulated by a foreign content and style, as far apart as Grimmel's, Hassen's Simplicissimus. Yeah. Inspired by the realistic cleverness of the Spanish Picaro and Goeth's West-Eastern Divan. An excursion into the Epicurean world of the Persian poet Hafiz. Which one? Oh, Simplicissimus. 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 Wherever the German mind has found his material, he has marked it quite clearly with two characteristics: a tendency to search for universal, basic ideas, and an endeavor to establish ethical relationships. Even his lyric poetry shows a fundamentally reflective element. And it cannot be forgotten that ever since the novel first appeared in modern dress, and the German ideal for this genre has been the Bildungsroman, the novel which traces the inner development of character in its battle with life's realities and illusions. A poet has essentially lyric in his nature, and Heine racks his tortured soul amid the very agony of misprized love in the search for an explanation that will fit the whole riddle of human unhappiness. And singers of the eternal beauties of nature, like Hölderlin, Annette von Drost, and Lenau, never cease to puzzle over a Weltanschauung. Yeah. It is this tendency toward the abstract and universal that explains the incurable idealism of German poet and philosopher. It is only rarely that he is genuinely realistic or satisfied to dwell in a world of mere beauty. By nature a Platonist, he builds up within his soul a system of ideas and forges these into a unity which becomes for him a reality, to which he holds henceforth with the tenacity and zeal of a religious fanatic. Thus, Wolfman, in his Parsifal, erects a sublime ideal of Christian chivalry. Thus, Hans Sachs creates ideals of contemporary types. The roving scholar, the booger craftsman, B-U-R-G-H-E-R, the burger, the burger craftsman, the quarrelsome wife, and other figures of Nuremberg's streets and marketplace. Thus, Lessings builds his own ideal of classical antiquity based on Winckelmann's pattern, which was already a poetic idealization of the culture of the ancients. Thus, Arnhem and Folk idealized the Middle Ages, and Grillparzer, the Austrian Habsburgs. In creating his ideas, the German poet never quite forgets ethical values. No people was ever less satisfied with the theses. Art for art's sake. Every great German writer, even in periods of the crudest naturalism, like the last decade of the 19th century, has always felt an irrestrainable urge to build a bridge that will lead from the beautiful to the good, as Schiller did on so sublime a scale. For that reason, Germany has produced so many stirring tragedies and so few good comedies, not as Madame de Stael says, because conversation is an art which the Germans do not understand, but because the tragedy is the field on which ethical problems can best be unfolded. Every great German poet, Goethe once remarked, is also a great teacher. The beginning of literature in Germany came with the early Carolingians, Carolingians, and flowed out of the necessity for consolidating the missionary conquest, which has begun under their Merovingian predecessors. M-E-R-O-V-I-N-G-I-A-N. Merovingian. All right. Predecessors. Charlemagne, which his militant missionary zeal. Charlemagne with his militant missionary zeal gave a strong impetus to the use of German for religious formulas. And the 9th century saw a brief period of flowering when the great monasteries of southern and central Germany produced translations and paraphrases from sacred and ecclesiastical writings, and original poems glowing with religious fervor. Like the whole culture of the Carolingian period, these were monastic, learned, and aristocratic in character. When the dynasty of Charlemagne had been succeeded by the Saxon Otis, and the missionary zeal of the great monasteries and bishoprics, I'm sorry, B-I-S-H-O-P-R-I-C-S, missionary zeal of the great monasteries and bishoprics. I'm sorry. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee. Just one moment. Great monasteries and bishoprics had given place so immature. Stop. When the dynasty of Charlemagne had been succeeded by the Saxon Otis, and the missionary zeal of the great monasteries and bishoprics had given place to the cultivation of political and economic power, a new renaissance of a new renaissance of Latin cultures. Alright, we're gonna keep reading. No, I got it. Good. Take another sip of coffee. Renaissance of Latin culture set in, and crowded Germany poetry. A new renaissance of Latin culture set in, and crowded Germany poetry out of monastic liberty and cell. For a century and a half, monk and wandering scholar sang ancient German legends and modern roadside adventures in the language and manner of Virgil or Ovid, or set Christian heroes and heroines into Latin plays, like those which the learned abbess Roswitha of Gandersham wrote under the influence of Terence. A new birth of German literature grew out of the monastic reforms which preceded the Crusades. Unlike the earlier period, the 11th century created a literature which was democratic in character. Warnings of the wrath to come, paraphrases of the Old and New Testament, hymns to the Virgin, all in crudely rhymed couplets, without regard to regularity of accent, but charged with a profound and vigorous religiosity. The Crusades brought a rapid development. Saints' legends embellished with wondrous adventures led the excuse me. Hold on. Where were we? I had to clear my throat 1 second. Saints, legends embellished with wondrous adventures led the way to profane themes, which were borrowed from classical sources or imported from France. And by the middle of the 12th century, the clergy had ceased to be the leading interpreters of national ideals. The minstrel had found his way to the court of lord and bishop and sang of ancient heroes, like King Rother, a Lombard chieftain of the age of migrations, or Duke Ernest, a popular German figure of a younger age, who were now sent to seek brides in the eastern Mediterranean, among wonders culled from the pages of Herodotus and Pliny, and decorated by weird tales told by returning crusaders. These minstrel epics were the overture for the great symphony of literary production and marked the last decade of the 12th and the first half of the 13th century throughout southern and central Germany. The knights were its authors. Its theme was chivalry, whether in the courtly epics of King Arthur's paladins or of passionate lovers like Tristan, or seekers for a mystic ideal like Parsifal, or in the love songs of the Minnesingers. The Minnesingers. The themes were borrowed from the classical antiquity and from France. The lyrical forms were provincial in origin, but the German knight recreated all in great contemporaries are not brilliant knights errant in search of adventure, like their French prototypes in the poems of Creton de Troyes, but are marked by a reflective and mystical quality that has come down to succeeding generations in such types of Christian knighthood as the seeker for the Holy Grail in Wolfram's Parsifal, and the penitent leper in Hartmann's Poor Henry. The lyrics of Walter von Vogelweide display a profound joy in nature's moods and a simple directness in love songs addressed to maids of low degree that shake off the stilted and artificial trappings of troubadour inheritance. The creative impulse which had seized German knighthood did not exhaust itself with themes from abroad. It also brought to the surface legends of early Germanic heroes which had been cultivated beneath the threshold of literature for more than 6 centuries. Mythical characters like Siegfried, historical personalities like Theodoric, the Gothic conqueror of Italy, or the ill-faced chieftains of the Burgundian kingdom of the Upper Rhine, which fell under the attacks of the Huns in the 5th century, became now the heroes of epics of chivalry. The song of the Nibelungen, the epic of Gudrun, and the poems of the Dietrich saga are the courtly forms of ancient legends which had lived among the peoples of Germany since the migrations, owing to the destructive zeal of a fanatic clergy. The earlier stages in ballad and crude epic poem are entirely lost. All that is left of them are rugged forms like that of the wild Hagen in the song of the Nibelungen, who slakes his thirst on the blood of fallen enemies in the corpse-strewn hall of Attila's castle. With the passing of the Crusades, the great era of medieval German literature passed also. The energy of German knighthood now found its outlet in carrying the sword and the cross to the Slavic peoples across the Vistula and the Memel, along the eastern coast of the Baltic, and into the forest of Lithuania. German settlers from the lower Rhine and Holland followed, and planted farmsteads and built cities along the rivers and on the coast. By the year 1400, there lay between the Baltic and the Alps 2,000 German cities, pulsing with a vigorous commercial and social life. Gradually, the old forms of the literature of chivalry changed to accord with this new environment. Epic tales of courtly or popular origin were spun out to include a whole cycle or a family of heroes, and were retold in prose romances of unending length. The city burghers, who were the new authors and the audience for literature, showed an insatiable appetite for didactic forms and found delight in the best epic of the farcical adventures and homely wisdom of heroes like Till, Alan Spiegel, or in coarsely satirical tales of peasant life. Sebastian Brandt, a Strasbourg lawyer, met exactly the taste of his contemporary burghers at the end of the 15th century by the mustering into his ship of fools all the weaknesses of the age in cap and bells and garb of motley. The Minnesong gave way to the Master Song. A Ship of Fools? Yeah, we have read a book called Ship of Fools. It's a good book. We can read that one again if you want. The Minnesong gave way to the Master Song, stilted compositions of handy craftsmen who cultivated the lyric art according to rules as complex and rigid as those which governed the working man's guilds. The old refinement of verse was gone. In its place, burgher and monk counted the syllables on their fingers and wore a rough and ready doggerel that was vigorous but altogether inartistic. New forms arose to correspond to the ideals of an increasingly social age. The folk song, which by the beginning of the 16th century had become a vehicle for the whole emotional life of the lower classes, and the religious drama, which about the same epoch completed the development from the simple Christmas and Easter plays into the great cyclical dramas containing the whole plan of salvation, of which the present Obermergu Passion Play is a direct, though much abbreviated descendant. Obermergau. Slowly humanistic influences filtered through the Alpine passes and across the border from Holland. Their coming heralded by translations of the classical authors and of Italian storytellers. Already in the 14th century, the Protestant Reformation had sent forerunners in the mystical fathers, Eckhart and Toller, who sought God on the direct path of the rapt contemplation and pictured in eloquent prose the love life of the soul. With Luther, all German literature became for a time theological, Eckhart. Spelled just like Eckhart Tolle. So Eckhart and Toller are two separate people in this. So that's funny. Yes, Eckhart and Toller, who sought God on the direct path of rapt contemplation and pictured in eloquent prose the love life of the soul. With Luther, all German literature became for a time theological and polemical. And in dramas, satires, and master songs, religious opponents continued to pillory and ridicule each other until late in the century. Although often coarse in word and picture, the literature of the early 16th century, like Luther's stirring tractates, and marital hymns, and the powerful satires of the Strasbourg Franciscan, Thomas Murner, had a genuinely national and popular tone, such as it does not show again in Germany until the Napoleonic Wars. Thank you. The invention of printing had made possible numerous chapbooks, like chapbooks, like those about such popular heroes as Dr. Faust and Till Spiegel, and collections of humorous and grotesque stories multiplied in verse and prose, coming. We'll pause there on page 5.
What's up?
Good morning. I saw you had some ice cream.
Uh-huh.
Hungry?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do some more reading later.